In this brief little moment here, as Conor McGregor goes to push off on his left foot, right here as he goes to push, you can actually notice a little bit of kind of a tweak right there in his ankle where it's actually fractured before he ultimately takes that another step back, resulting in the more complete injury. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and this is your #1 source for learning about the unique medical side of the world of sports. No doubt about this was a really unusual, fluky type of injury, and so we're gonna break down what happened here. You guys know what to do if you wanna help support this channel, so let's dive right into this. And what you may not have noticed the first time watching this replay is McGregor's ankle or lower leg actually looked like it fractured before the main fracture occurred. So here, what I want you to focus on, McGregor kind of plants on that left foot as he's getting ready to push off. And you can see that slight little tweak. You can see the outer portion of his ankle kind of shift outward. And honestly, I think this is when the break actually first was initiated before he ultimately stepped on it and inverted the ankle, causing kind of that more complete injury. We can see then as he kind of comes through, that left foot comes up off the ground. And now as he goes to plant, he basically rolls his ankle. His ankle goes into a severe amount of inversion, and it's probably because there was no stability because of what happened on that step just before. So now as he goes forward, that ankle rolls into inversion, typical mechanism of a common lateral ankle sprain like we see in sports all the time, but now there's no stability there. You could see kind of right as he stepped, he wasn't able to maintain that stability, maintain that ankle positioning. The ankle rolls, and then all this torsional twisting load gets transferred up through his tibia, up into the fibula, making this break much more severe. As unusual as this is, I have to wonder if there was some trauma to the ankle or something before this last little tweak here, because really we can see in this position as he goes to first push right here, nothing looks abnormal with the ankle. Nothing looks broken, nothing looks unstable. But then it's right kind of there, that little tweak as he pushes off where we can see that fracture occur. And it's such a subtle, slight movement that I'm shocked that that little movement would cause the break. So I wonder if there was some pre-existing trauma there or some other injury that might have made it more susceptible to that little tiny push off of a move, causing that fracture to initiate before ultimately, again, plants no stability left because of what just happened, and then it inverts into that more complete fracture. What we're likely talking about here is a fracture of probably his fibula and his tibia. If we look at our biodigital anatomy tool here, I'm kind of highlighting the ankle or lower leg. And so the tibia is, of course, the main shin bone. That's what you can feel in the front of your leg. And then the fibula is the small bone on the outside of your ankle. That's what you can feel if you kind of rub the outer portion on the outside of that ankle. What looked like it might have fractured that first little step was probably the fibula, this little bit that we saw kind of pop out this way as he first went to plant, before ultimately it looked like the subsequent part was kind of through the tibia. All of the ligaments that support the outer portion of the ankle are attached to the fibula. And there's also a band of tissue that runs between the fibula and the tibia. So if you have a break there and you lose some of that stability of that lateral ankle, then when you put your ankle into a position where you need that stability, there's nothing there. It goes into that extreme amount of inversion that leads to kind of the rest of the fracture. Again, a lot of the replays are showing kind of just this position here because that's when it really looked like the true kind of worst part of the fracture happened. But if we back this up and really look at what happened here, steps here, everything looks nice and normal. Right there as he lands, we see that ankle kind of shift outward, likely when at least the fibula fracture happened. And honestly, looking back at it, it could have been the tibia, but this was certainly when the actual break occurred. And then as he kind of brings that foot up, goes into a significant inversion, causing that torsional stress and then the fracture. What we have to remember about bones is they're really strong when you squeeze them and put them into compression, but whenever we start twisting bones, they're not nearly as strong. And so I think there was a component of some torsion or some twisting here that made this more likely to have occurred. It didn't look like there was any skin breakage or an open fracture, which of course, if there is, we worry about infection. It's a lot more complicated of an injury. So at least that looks good, but this is certainly a severe injury. You know, we saw what happened with Chris Weidman recently. We've seen what happened with Anderson Silva, sort of different locations on the leg, different mechanism, but ultimately kind of end up with the same type of injury. We'll be sure and do an update video here when we actually see kind of what McGregor has done for his treatment of this. But for now, I hope this was educational. Again, to point out, it was really that step before when we saw the break actually initiate before the ultimate kind of severe one when everything was completed. Let me know as always any questions or comments down below. And until next time, we'll see you later.